volcanic ash on top of it is a little bit different. Okay, so you still have 60 plus naturally occurring trace minerals, but it's all those rare earth minerals that were blown up. And I guess I'm not a geologist, but all of that and that ash that ends up laying in proximity there to right on top of the salt mine or the salt deposit. And that is between the environment in Utah. I mean, they're a pretty arid environment, but all that volcanic ash keeps water from leaching down and kind of seals that off to keep, because different minerals leach out at different points of time. So
Sure.
so anyway, some of the stuff that's going on there. So those two products end up being Redmond's 1-2 punch. And excellent when you start to look at the on cattle nutrition and the value to how that focuses on their physiology, whether it's direct to them, the animals themselves, or through the microbes and the value of the nutrients to those individual microbes, but there's billions of those in
Sure.
one little teaspoon or whatever. Right. So all that importance. But when we start looking at the soil, the 1-2 punch that we start to talk about is the C mineral is very high. It's crystalline form. The minerals are in crystalline form and very bioavailable. They're able to travel through the soil very easily. The microbes are able to utilize them very easily. The crystalline form allows those minerals to penetrate through plant and animal cell membrane basically by themselves. So if you end up going to the hospital and first thing they do is give you a saline solution, not the first thing they do, but right. Give you the IV, and those minerals are in crystalline form because they can get right in the bloodstream and into the bloodstream into the cells where they're needed to help support health. And so the C minerals, being in crystalline form is so important, but they have what's called an electrical conductivity. So, and that's that moving of those nutrients very quickly. Now, on the other side, on the soil, that 1-2 punch is the volcanic ash. Also has a great diversity of minerals, so the value of diversity, and we learned that on, you need diversity on of the microbes, you need diversity of even the crops that you're raising. Cover crops bring great diversity. The more diversity you have on top of the soil, the more you get underneath. The more you have underneath, the better soil health and production you have. So you've got the diversity of not only the mineral quantities and the minerals themselves, but the types of minerals. So the volcanic ash is in colloidal form. And so it takes a little bit more time to break down and to be utilized. But it also has a very high cation exchange capacity, the ability to hold those nutrients and utilize those basically over time, hold nutrients in the water. And so when you get that 1-2 punch together, it brings a lot of diversity into your soil, but it allows those nutrients to be utilized quickly, but also held on to and utilized over time. And so some pretty interesting things as we start to look at the products and some of the reasons of those products together. Then as you look at soil health in general, you've got, basically 3 pieces of the puzzle, is how we like to look at it. You've got your biology, you've got your physical characteristics, and you've got your nutrients of the soil. And looking at it as a holistic system is pretty important, because it's almost like a 3-legged stool. If you're missing one or one short or whatever, everything's out of balance. So much back on the same thing on livestock nutrition and health. If you can keep things balanced, everything works great. When things get out of balance, that's when you end up with production issues or health issues and things. So so looking at the you know, what we bring is more of a soil amendment. So we're coming in, it's, you know, the industry is really big on NP&K, and you know, those drives yields, and there's value in that, but there's also some costs that need to be considered. But is there a way that we can come alongside and support that and maybe reduce some of that need? And once again, back on the cattle health, I keep switching over to that.
Sure.
But on the cattle health, if we can keep the right environment for the microbes and the rumen, they're the ones that are breaking down the feedstuffs that are coming in, and the better they break that down, the better the tools that they give to the cattle for performance, reproduction, and better utilizing the forage that's out there.
And they probably need less
And
to get
then
more.
they end up needing less to get more. When those microbes are spent, you know, more of them there, the better variety. They break down the feedstuffs better, so you're getting more out of less feed. But then when the microbes die, they're the best microbial protein is the best form of protein there is for cattle. And very similar to the soil, is when you get the right environment for the microbes, they're able to grow and be happy and multiply, but they have relatively short life cycles, so when they're spent, when they die, they're a valuable nutrient source. You know, you got carbon and organic matter coming, you got nitrogen coming, your protein value that's coming from them. So it's really interesting when you start to look at that, how bringing that diversity of minerals in can actually help with the environment and also the nutrients that those living animals need to be able to survive and thrive. And then they do their job, and a lot of their job, you know, we'll talk about the physical, you know, how much, what's the aggregate size in the soil and how much air is available, and water, ability to sequester water as it's coming in.
Yep.
And all of those things kind of work together, and being able to bring the diversity of the nutrients in helps support all of that. So really makes sense when you start to look at overall soil health, because soil is the foundation probably of all of life, as you look at the plants that produces, which the animals eat those plants, and then, you know, the higher quality plants, and then you got the fertilizer coming back in through the system. So yeah, sorry, I can get off and get all excited about all sorts of things here.
And just listen to you talk, I think that we've only touched the tip of the mountain, and we've got all that stuff, because when I hear you talk about you're creating a better quality plant to go into a healthier rumen. So it's a big giant circle of life that is just improving.
Right.
One improves the other, but it's the same product in both animals and the plants.
Exactly. And if you can bring that back to just nature, health, and just how God created that whole thing to work, a lot of that, you can reduce a lot of your pest, weed issues by bringing back kind of that balanced diversity health.
And we know those two things right there are a huge cost for our producers out there raising crops. Thank you for watching, and join us for the next episode of Redmond for Soils, putting new life in old soils.